Ashley, a resident of Willingboro, has faced 2023 with incredible strength and resilience following her diagnosis of breast cancer. Her journey is a testament to the power of family support and personal determination, surrounded by loved ones like her father, her mother, her brothers. Ashley has navigated her new reality with grace, drawing strength from those closest to her. With the passion for cooking, Ashley finds peace in the kitchen, where she experiments with new recipes and flavors. Her culinary creativity serves as both a personal outlet and a means of bringing family together around the table, reinforcing the bonds that have been so crucial during her health journey. Alongside cooking, Ashley enjoys reading, books, and traveling, both of which provide her with inspiration and a sense of adventure, further enriching her life and broadening her perspectives. Ashley and her brother have also played a pivotal role in transforming their mother, Enette's health trajectory through education, advocacy, and a shared commitment to wellness. They have inspired positive changes within their family, underscoring the impact of unity and proactive care. Ashley's story is one of resilience, love, and the unwavering support of family, reminding us all of the profound influence of a strong support network during life challenges. I now introduce you to our special guest, Miss Ashley Stevens. Welcome. How you doing, Ashley? Yeah, I
Thank you,
appreciate.
Reg. I'm doing
Yeah,
amazing. How are you?
great. I am very I'm eternally grateful for your presence as well as your parents' presence. Thank you very much for agreeing to do this interview. So my first question to you, Ashley, is your initial reaction. Can you share what went through your mind when you first received your diagnosis?
Um, I just want to start by saying I'm not your average patient. So what I may say may not be the story of a lot of people, majority of the people. Um, but my initial thought, I was pretty nonchalant, I say, it sounds crazy. I was at work when I got the call telling me about my diagnosis, and you know, the doctor gave me the diagnosis over the phone, and I just was like, okay. And he was like, well, do you want to know what kind you have? Like, do you want to know anything about it? And I was like, yeah, sure. Like, why not? And he proceeded to tell me it was invasive ductal carcinoma, um, and that I needed to basically start scheduling appointments, ASAP to get surgery and to get a better description of what my diagnosis was and everything. And then I think after that call, my biggest thought was, now how do I relay that message to everybody else? So that was pretty much my thought process. And then I went on about work. Like, it was a regular day.
Just like that.
Just like that. It was,
Wow.
it wasn't anything too crazy for me. I got home. Well, I text my dad, asked him, I was like, are you coming to the house today? He's like, I can if I need to. And I'm like, sure. And after work, I went and got some food for myself, my mom, my dad, and my younger brother. And decided I was just going to tell them over a meal, family meal, and we're going to have a discussion. And
Wow.
that's how it went.
I love your spirit. And so with that said, how did you manage to maintain such a positive outlook or mental state throughout your whole journey?
Um, Definitely with the support of so many of my friends, my family, community, people that I rarely even talk to, who found out about it, sent me well wishes, gave me all kinds of, just they gave me different books and like, you know, it was a whole community. You know, everybody wanted to support in any way that they could, and you know, I was receptive to that. It was no problem. But I think that my mental state has been the same since I was like a child. You know, I just take everything with a grain of salt and I keep it moving. That's it. I mean, this was no different. I mean, I've never undermined the severity of this diagnosis. Uh, but at the same time, it was, you know, unfortunately, I'm not the first and I won't be the last to ever go through it. So I felt like, you know, being in despair and having depression and all that kind of stuff, it was, it wouldn't do me any good. So, you know, that's kind of how I looked at it. Like, keep moving.
Wow, yeah, you're definitely a source of inspiration, you know, for me in looking at when I first heard about your situation. I was like, man, I have nothing to complain about. And like I said, you've been a big source of inspiration for me, just thinking about what you had to go through and the positive outlook that you maintain throughout your whole journey is just it's just incredible. So I thank you, you know, for being that source of inspiration for me. And so I want to move to your experience with surgery. What was it like for you going through surgery to remove your breasts, and how did you prepare for that for it emotionally and physically?
Um, like I said, I don't think my emotion changed much. There may be one moment in this whole process where my emotions were a little, you know, weren't as level as they normally were. But I dealt with surgery the same thing I did everything else. Um, I mean, I decluttered my space, so physically, I just kind of cleaned up around me and. You know, just thought about what this process was going to be. I mean, this was my first major surgery since I was a kid, when I got my
Mm,
tonsils removed. So I hadn't had surgery in, you know, years, nothing that I could remember.
hmm.
And but you know, it was a process. You know, you go through the different appointments and they kind of walk you through what to expect and everything, and I just took it, you know, how they gave it to me. Like, I didn't, you know, I didn't get into my head much about it. Like, it wasn't it wasn't anything that, you know, it didn't send me spiraling or anything. So and then as far as surgery, you know, afterwards, my biggest thing was, all right, when can I go home? Like, I had the surgery and they said I would be in recovery for maybe like 2 hours. I was in there probably like 30 minutes, like, all right, time to go. They were looking at me like, you know, your parents aren't even here to pick you up. I'm like, they'll be back. Just bring me my clothes. Like, I'm ready to go.
You
Groggy
ready
and
to go?
all. You got
Yeah.
but yeah, so I mean, the initial surgery was fine, and then I had maybe four others after that. And each one came with their own challenges. I mean, as far as recovery, I would never
Hmm.
tell anybody it was a cakewalk, but also, like I said, just maintaining your mental health is the best thing for you.
So, you know, you hinted regarding your emotional moments. So throughout your journey,
Mhm.
were there moments where you felt just overwhelmed, and if so, how did you handle those emotions? Did you ever break down or cry? And if so, what helped you through those difficult times?
Um, so like I said, my emotions pretty much maintain the same throughout the entire process. I think that going through it, I mean, maybe like thinking about what treatment would do to me, like different things like that. I thought about it, I researched a lot of it. So my emotions, I kind of kept those in check. But My first initial breakdown was when I found out the date of my surgery, my initial surgery, the mastectomy. And I left that appointment and was in the parking lot with my parents, and we're just talking about the whole situation and everything. And then all of a sudden I just start crying, and my dad, he's holding me, he's like, everything's gonna be okay, he's crying. And my mom is standing off to the side, and she's just watching because she knows me so well. So afterwards we talked about it. She was like, I knew that you were only crying because surgery was right before your birthday and you wouldn't be able to celebrate your birthday like how you wanted to. That I literally cried because I couldn't celebrate my birthday how I wanted to. Not about my diagnosis, not about, what was going to happen to me, and not about fear. It was because, I take my birthday seriously and I couldn't celebrate it how I wanted to. So that's the only
Man,
time I cried about this.
that speaks to the resilience. Wow, you're strong. Wow. So hold on, wait a minute. Because you said your mom didn't cry, but your dad was crying because he didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, he was comforting me.
Eh,
We cried together, but I think we might have been crying about two different things.
wow.
It's all,
So
it's
yeah.
all good.
So I understand that you are a vegan, right?
Yes.
y- Given your commitment to a vegan lifestyle, were you surprised at all by your diagnosis, and how did it influence your thoughts on health and wellness going forward?
Um, was I surprised? I'd say, yeah. I think I was a bit surprised. I mean, I started veganism in 2020. Um, and it was just, even before that, my parents took me and my brother and whoever else would want to go to plenty of lectures. Dr. Africa, I'm sure some people are familiar with him. He was big in the holistic health community, and I was going to his lectures as a child, so I was very familiar with healthy eating and things like that. And as I got older, I started to do some research on my own about healthy living and everything. And then once the pandemic hit, it really kind of pushed me towards just doing things in a better manner as far as my health and eating and stuff like that. So I would exercise and all that. So yes, I was surprised by the diagnosis. Um, initially, I don't know how many people know the story, but I found the mass myself. And when I found it, it was only one. By the time I went to the doctor, it was probably 90% of, or maybe like 85% of my right breast. So it had
Mm.
grown significantly within a short amount of time. Um, but it was a bit surprising for me. But as far as like veganism, I mean, I got my own qualms with it. So, I've had genetic testing done, which essentially they test to see if you carry a gene that would predict whether or not you would, develop a cancer diagnosis. And to my surprise, I did not have the gene that would have told anyone that I would have carried that. So I think that was even more than me being vegan and being diagnosed with it. I think that may have been the more questionable thing for me, because now I don't have an answer at all for why it happened.
So so you asked the doctors what caused it, and their answer was simply they don't know.
I was pretty much told that it was common, and that it's a lot of people have it. They didn't really have a good answer for what may have caused it. The particular type that I had was estrogen receptive. So, based off of the amount of estrogen my body is producing, is what was feeding it and causing it to grow as fast as it did.
So I would love for Chef Keedy to chime in and to add maybe some additional insight based on your comments. But before he chimes in, can you just briefly describe your diet regimen? Like, what did you eat every day? What did your health regimen look like every day? What did you eat every day? I
Um,
mean, I'm saying like
prior to
prior to the cancer.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Prior to, I had mostly been alkaline vegan. So, like I said, I did my own research. And so I bought books and all kinds of stuff, learned about different herbs and the right kinds of fruit and the right kinds of vegetables and all that, what you should eat. And even down to, what type of food should be put together. Because it could cause issues within your body. So I was eating, I didn't put acidic fruits with sweet fruits and all that kind of stuff. Like there was a lot of research I had done. And then I also dug into Dr. Sebi's teachings. And so from there, I learned about like, alkaline diet and stuff. So I was pretty much into that. And then at the time, I was laid off from work. So I was walking a lot and, pretty much exercising, going into yoga. Like I was really transforming my life at that time. Um, and then a few years later, I was in the space that I was in. So it was, I get a lot from people who don't necessarily know my backstory. They tell me, "Oh, you should eat soursop because it prevents cancer," or "You should try this herb because it prevents cancer," or "Eat this food." And I just look at them and say, "Yeah, you're right." But initially, what I want to say is, you have no idea. I've been eating soursop for 5 years. Like I didn't. That did not change my diagnosis, unfortunately. So yeah.
Chef, Baba Keedy, if you don't mind, would like to get your perspective, insight based on Ashley's comments regarding her vegan lifestyle and her diagnosis.
All right, here, let me just change back to the gallery. Ashley, congratulations on your attitude. Your attitude, I think, is absolutely fantastic. And maybe from someone dealing with what you're dealing with, maybe amongst the most powerful attitudes I've ever heard expressed. So I really want to congratulate you on that. I approach diseases from the point of functional medicine. Have you ever heard or researched the term functional medicine?
No, I can't say I have.
Okay, I want you to write those two words down. And every inquiry you do into this, I want you to preface it with from a functional medicine approach. And so that's what I'm going to really kind of base my comments and questions around. I have a good idea. I've been in the background, been doing the research on invasive ductile, what was it, invasive carcinoma? Invasive
But yes.
ductal carcinoma. And so I do now have a good idea of what it's about. First of all, I need to ask you this question. Did you take the COVID vaccines?
I did not. No.
Okay, no COVID vaccines. Good. Because we are hearing about very aggressive cancers that are breaking out in people who did take the COVID vaccine. They're calling it turbo cancer. And so, as aggressive as yours sounded and as young as you are, I had to ask that question. And congratulations on making, I think, a very good decision to not engage in that massive national experiment. It was a national experiment. I have gotten at least one client who took the vaccine and the boosters who has developed a very aggressive cancer. By the time it's diagnosed, it's being diagnosed already as stage 4 cancer. And that's really quite unusual. We are dealing with a time in history where unfortunately Kwame talked about the pandemic of cancer. And if we look at the pandemic of the COVID pandemic and compare it to the diagnosis of cancer in this time, we're finding now that 2 out of every 5 people in the United States will be diagnosed with cancer at their time. Whereas at the beginning of the 19th century, it was 1 out of 24 people. 1 out of 24 a century later became 1 out of 3. By 2018, it surpassed 1 out of 3 people, and today it is 40.5% and climbing of Americans will be diagnosed with cancer in their lifetime. And Kwame did mention that breast cancer is the most likely diagnosis for women, but there's a lot of other ones, including prostate cancer in men. And the whole idea of prostate cancer in men, I am extremely skeptical of. I'm not going to go into that skepticism right now unless someone needs to know. But I caution everybody who will listen to me, don't ever start down that road. The first step down that road is the PSA test. Don't do it. So don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. So I'm going to go into a little bit of functional medicine approach to what you are dealing with. I took some notes in the background, and I'm going to go to those notes right now. At any given time, you can stop me and ask me any questions you do want to ask. And what is the functional medicine approach to invasive ductile carcinoma? Functional medicine approach to invasive ductile carcinoma, IDC, integrates conventional oncology with root-caused based personalized strategies to strengthen the body's innate healing capacity, optimize metabolic and immune function, and support recovery while minimalizing side effects. The core principles of functional medicine views IDC not only as a localized malignancy, and this is very important, but as the result of systemic imbalances, inflammation, hormonal dysregulation, oxidative stress, immune insufficiency, and impaired detoxification pathways. Okay. I guess that was just a microphone got open. And treatment focuses on identifying and correcting these underlying dysfunctions while completing mainstream oncology care. Now, when you went into this, you put together a team. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay, your parents
Yes,
are part of the
yes, the team.
team.
Mhm.
Kwame Reggie is part of the team. I'm hoping to join the team as well, as I've done an
Welcome to the
immense welcome to the team. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate, love that. And I'm going to bring the best that I can bring to this team because, quite simply, we've got to have a victory here. You've got a wonderful, long life ahead for you, and there are a lot of life celebrations you and your parents are going to enjoy. And it will be the consequence of having the right team on your side. And I'm hoping that out of all of us who are here together today, I think there are how many people in the conversation? About 28, maybe 30 people in the conversation, 28 people. If we divide that by 5, that's about 5.5 times 2. That means of this large group, it is expected the 12 people in this group will be diagnosed with cancer in their lifetime.
Wow.
Now, let that sink in. It used to be 1 out of 5. Now it's 2 out of 5, or 1 out of 3. Now it's 2 out of 5. So if we look to our left, look to the right, if it's not one of those 2 on the left or one of those 2 on the right, it is me. And quite simply, we're not going out like that. So let's all get on approach. So I'm going to give you a couple of things that we're going to be focusing on as we go further down this road. Number 1, your diagnostic and assessment strategies they've already been done. You've already been in contact with a group of people who I fundamentally do not trust. The gene seekers. the gene
Mhm.
seekers, because the gene seekers, I think they're con men personally,
Hmm.
because they're coming in, they're saying, oh, does your mother have it? Does your father have it? Your aunties, your uncles, your grandparents? But wait a minute, evolution doesn't work like that. Evolution doesn't just jump on families. You're never going to see any evolution that is going to take place from 1900 to 2000, go from 1 in 24 to 3 out of every to 3 out of every 18 or so, whatever I said. It just doesn't work like that. So the gene blamers, the gene seekers, personally, I would not give them any credibility at all. So, having said that, we're talking about these inflammatory markers. They're talking about that's a real key. You do, and you been tested? I should ask you, have you been tested for your inflammatory markers, such as C-reactive protein, interleukin 6, TNFA, and these other inflammatory markers?
Not that I can recall.
Okay, you want to go through your you want to go to your main doctor that you're dealing with and ask them what inflammatory markers have they been giving you or testing you for, because essentially the inflammatory markers, I think, is going to give you a good idea of where all of this came from. Recently, I did a study on interleukin 11. That's an inflammatory marker most of us have never heard about. But if we stop and take the time to study it, we'll realize that virtually every one of us over the age of 50 we've got to come up with a process for suppressing this inflammatory marker, interleukin 11, and we hadn't even been thinking about it. So in this case, we want to look at this. I'm looking at you and I'm seeing it appears that you do not have any indicators of metabolic syndrome except for the cancer. Are you overweight or obese?
Correct.
Is that yes or no?
No.
Okay, you're not overweight or obese. You do.
No.
Do you have hypertension? High blood
No.
pressure? Do you have hyperglycemia, diabetes, or pre-diabetes?
No.
Okay, no progressive kidney failure is happening there?
No.
And I take it that because you don't eat the stuff that them cousins of ours eat, we're not talking about your family, but mine, that you don't have the markers. You do not have the markers for high triglycerides from eating a lot of deep fried food, fried in seed oils that are not fit for human consumption.
That's me. No, that's me.
That's you, the father. And the father, we'll talk about your body mass index a little bit later. Because I do want everybody out there to start learning to diagnose ourselves to the best of our abilities. Kwame, Reggie, you know me. Every day I wake up, I do my exercise. I exercise 2 times in the morning, and then I weigh myself. And believe it or not, today I weighed myself at 143.3, which is 0.1 less than what I weighed yesterday, 0.1 less than what I weighed the day before that. And it's also what I weighed at age 23, some 47 years ago.
Wow.
So we want to be on top of this body mass index. Kwame, Reggie, when you got with the Living Superfood program, how much weight did you lose over what time period?
I was around 217 back on the December 1st and of I forget what year, 2024. And when I completed your inaugural 56-day program, I dropped at least 20 pounds.
There we go.
Yeah, 20 pounds. Yeah.
And you've been able to keep it off, am I correct?
Yes. Yes.
Good.
Yeah.
We all want to move our weight. We want to get out of the classification of obese and overweight because, and I'm not saying this towards you, Ashley, because you're doing good, but When we are in that category of overweight and obese, we raise our risks of 32 chronic diseases, including all causes morbidity. All causes morbidity means we're going to die of any and all causes earlier because we were overweight and or obese. So we're going to get out of that category.
Yeah.
A couple of things I'm going to focus on right here, just a few things, and then I'm going to print out this document and I'll send this document to you as
Yep.
well.
Let me
Number
give you
one.
3 minutes, Bobby Kitty.
Okay, this is
Yep,
only going to take 1 minute.
Yep. Mhm.
Nutritional strategies.
Mhm.
We want to focus on an anti-inflammatory plant-forward diet is emphasized. Boom, you already caught that. Number two, lots of leafy greens, preferably raw as much as possible, cruciferous vegetables, and omega-3 fatty acids. Number three, low in refined carbs, no junk food, no highly processed foods, no sugars, and low processed foods are out of the, if it's in a box, if it's in a can, it's not for you. Number
Right.
four,
Yep.
dairy and gluten-free. I take it you're already there, no dairy and no gluten, am I correct? Well, you may be
Correct.
eating bread,
That's-
maybe eating bread, but we do want to, at this particular point, we want to refine it even more and go gluten-free. And lastly, you're incorporating medical foods or milk or shakes for protein and micronutrient support. Next, specific supplements shown to support breast cancer recovery include, but are not limited to, number one, vitamin D3, 5,000 I use daily. High dose omega-3 fatty acids, which is going to increase your EPA and DHA ratio. So you really want to get those omega-3 fatty acids. They're anti-inflammatory and they're pro the development of your immune system cells. Point three, oral or IV vitamin C for oxidative stress modulation. Now, I have a friend who was actually, she's a good friend of mine. She was actually treating Michael Jackson at the end of his life, but she does high dose intravenous vitamin C as treatment for cancer. And Dr. Sherilyn Lee is her name. She and I have worked together over many years. She loves my nutrition, and she was my children's pediatrician. So there was this circular relationship between she and I. Point four, probiotics and digestive enzymes to restore the integrity to your gut. You want to focus in on your gut microbiome as soon as possible. Point six, point four, melatonin, which supports your sleep and is a powerful impact on your circadian rhythm. That's your pineal gland. And last point, you want to get your botanical extracts in, as well as boswellia, green teas, rooibos tea, curcumin, and wheat germ extract. And then beyond that, we'll go a little bit deeper into it the next time we get together as a team.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Love Bobby Kitty.
Yeah. Wow. I do have one
Hey,
question. for
Outdid
you,
yourself, Reg.
Yeah, I do have one question for you, Bobby Kitty. Ashley, you did the chemotherapy, correct? Ash?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So from my understanding, chemotherapy destroys your body stem cells, and your stem cells is your body's repair system or repair-cated healthcare system. So, Bobby Kitty, can you speak in terms of how she can develop stem cells in her body, considering that she went through the chemotherapy process?
Yeah, she's got to rebuild the stem cells almost as if she's starting from scratch. In my interaction with cancer patients, I always advise them to, at the best of your ability, do not go that route. Do not ever let an oncologist talk you into chemotherapy. To be honest, I believe that the death phase of cancer begins with chemotherapy. That's my personal opinion, and you can accept it or not accept it. But I do not believe in chemotherapy. I know that there are multiple cancer treatment chemotherapies that cause cancer, that cause secondary cancers, and these so-called turbo cancers. They said that yours was related to your hormonal levels, your estrogen levels. Am I correct? Was that what you said?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. Chemotherapy is not going to do anything for that. What chemotherapy does is make your body so toxic that it will kill the cancer cells. The problem is your healthy cells are killed as well. It kills the fastest growing cells in your body, which are stem cells. The fastest growing cells in your body are the endothelial stem cells lining your gut, etc. You need your gut to process the nutrition and the nutritional proteins that are going to be a part of your long-term healing. So I'm not going to tell you what to do because I don't carry the same size insurance policies as your practicing oncologists. They pay exorbitant insurance policies, so let them tell you what to do. But I'm not going to give you bad advice that I suspect could cause you to lose your life. So I'm just going to say, in any situation, if I were ever diagnosed with cancer, I would never do chemotherapy.
Thank you. So moving right along, Ashley, I just have one more question for you before we move to your parents. What
Okay.
advice would you give to someone who has just been diagnosed with breast cancer?
Baba Kitty.
So for anybody who's just been diagnosed, I would definitely tell them to get their checkups. I mean, that's the first step, is to make sure that your body is aligned with how it should be. Like I said, I found mine on my own. I up to that point I had never had to do a mammogram or anything. It just, one day something didn't feel right, and then I let a friend know, or I kind of inquired about if she had done any self exam. That's what you learn in health class: do your self exams. And she informed me that she didn't, and so I said, something doesn't feel right, but I'll keep you posted. And I mean, I give thanks to her all the time because she's the reason why I eventually did go to a doctor and get it looked at. I mean, I kind of, it probably was about 5 months before I even told anybody else, or before I even went and got checked. But I think that the biggest advice I could give to anyone is to ask questions when you do go see your physician, and you keep asking until you get the answers that you're satisfied with. Meaning, they'll give you a lot of medical jargon that you won't understand. And, you keep asking until you get it in layman's terms exactly what they're telling you and what they would like for you to do going forward. And then on top of that, I would say you take all that information and then you go home and you do your own research, do your own due diligence, because nobody has your best intention in mind other than yourself. Like, nobody cares about you more than you do. And I don't care what anybody thinks about that, but for me, that's factual. Mm-hmm. You're going to think about yourself way more than anybody else ever would, especially somebody getting paid to do it. I've been told by my medical professionals, as you can see, I'm not your average. So, and that's never going to change. But my medical professionals, they kind of question, are you depressed? Do you have anxiety? Are you, do you have any qualms about what's going on? And my biggest thing was always no. Like, every questionnaire, the answer is no. I don't have any issues. I'm fine. Other than what you're telling me is wrong with me, I'm okay. Especially mentally. And I was told that I was in denial about it, like, because essentially I should be depressed. I should have anxiety. I should be having sleepless nights over this. I should be an emotional wreck over the fact that I potentially could be dying. And that's just what it is. But me, I didn't look at it that way. And so they felt that they needed to tell me that I was wrong about that, you know. And again, you know, these are people getting paid to do a job. And the more that they can give you, meaning their version of medication, the more they get paid. And that's how I looked at it. They wanted to give me antipsychotics or antidepressants or anything like that. And I I wasn't going to stand for it. So, you know, advocate for yourself and build a healthy, positive community around you, whether it's family, whether it's friends, whether it's outside help. They will give you, or I guess maybe depending on your insurance, they will give you a nurse navigator who will help you schedule appointments or find support groups, or you know, find different researchers that can help you decide what you should do. I didn't really take advantage of that. Honestly, my nurse navigator talked more to my mom than she did to me. I wouldn't answer her calls. I wouldn't really call her back. My mom had all the questions for her, and I would let her talk to my mom for an hour, and then eventually she stopped calling because she got tired of answering all those questions.
Wow.
You know, and Baba Kiti talked about the whole chemotherapy situation. I will say that I was very rebellious when it came to chemotherapy. I even pushed it back a month or like maybe 2, 3 weeks, something like that. And they had my nurse navigator call me on the phone, and I didn't.
Oops. Oops. Hello? Did we lose her?
They may be back in a second.
All right. We give them a second. Wow, that was a powerful testimony right there. Until we get them back, does anyone have any well, let me say
I believe
this.
she's back. Oh, almost
Back?
back. No, not yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
I'll wait for them. Yeah.
Hmm.
So Chef, Baba Kiti has written a book on cancer. Oh, there you go. So if you're interested, and I have 5 copies of his book. So if you're interested in getting a copy, please drop your name and your address in the chat, and he will send you a copy of the book. So we have five free copies that's available. So if you're interested, please drop your name and address in the chat, and we have 5 available, 5 free books available.
Now,
One of his latest books.
let me
Cancer.
ask you this. Can I ship the 5 books to you? That way I don't have to pay the postage for the 5 individual books
Okay.
going out.
Yeah,
I'll ship them to you, and then you can forward them as well.
Okay.
And is Ashley, are you back on? I think she's logging in, but in the book on page 43 of my book, I do have a chapter that's entitled
Can you hear me?
Pharmaceuticals. Yeah, we hear you
Yeah.
now.
Yep.
Yeah,
There you go.
I don't know the medical.
The chapter I'm citing is called Pharmaceuticals Exposed as Carcinogenic Risk. And Ashley, in resisting the antidepressant drugs, you made the absolute right decision. I'll read that paragraph. It says 63.6% of antidepressants were associated with carcinogenicity, specifically of the names. I'm not going to struggle with reading them on the air right now. 90% of antipsychotic agents were associated with carcinogenicity. 70% of benzodiazepines, hypnotics, were associated with carcinogenicity. 25% of amphetamines and 85.7% of anticonvulsant drugs, mood stabilizers, were associated with carcinogenicity, creating cancer. You made a perfect decision.
Wow. Thank you. So, Ash, you back on?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes. Thank you for that. You still have more, or you good? I want to move on to your parents. Yeah.
I don't know what you heard last, but basically,
Good.
my nurse navigator she basically called and wanted to inquire why I wouldn't go along with chemotherapy. And, you
Mm,
know, that I think it was a lot of fear mongering when it came down to a lot of those appointments, because I was even told once directly from my physician, I'm trying to save your life. And to me, it sounds good in theory. However, in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, would you do it if you were a volunteer or if you were working for free? Like, would you work this hard to quote unquote save my life? Um, so there's a lot that goes into that whole thing. I've even seen a nutritionist that they provide you with, who pretty much told me, eat less red meat, but eat your fish and do all those.
oh, they keep going in and out. All right. So until they come back on, does anyone have any questions for Baba Kitty while he's here regarding diabetes, blood pressure, cancer? Any questions regarding nutrition?
Yes, greetings.
Oh, okay, hold on. Ash, Ash.
I think come back on.
Okay. I can see you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yeah. We're gonna move to your parents right quick. I can't hear
See
you.
me, but you can't hear me. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
Th-
that's cool.
Thank you, Ash. Appreciate your story.
Hold on.
She may want to turn
All
off
right.
her
Let's
video
see.
camera.
Testing. Can you hear it?
Yeah, yes, I can hear you. Yes, I can hear you. We can see you.
Oh,
She may want to turn off her video camera
okay.
and have more bandwidth for audio only.
All right. I'll try that.
Okay.
Stop video.
Well, someone has Ash, until you guys
Can you still hear it?
Yeah, I can still hear you. Can you guys hear me?
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Ash,
Yes.
Ash, I appreciate you very much. This is to the parents. Your initial reaction, how did you feel when you first learned about Ashley's diagnosis? Either Annette or Craig can answer that one.
I'll start and then I'll let Craig finish because he's probably a little longer than me. Well, my initial reaction to that was when I called her to find out what the diagnosis, what they said over the phone, and she was like, they called her over the phone. I was angry. I'm like, wait a minute, they told you that over the phone while you at work? She had no emotional support. I'm thinking at work. So I had a lot of emotions going on. So then once she came home and like she said, she got dinner and stuff for us. I had different emotions because once she told us exactly what she was diagnosed with, and now, I'm sad, I'm angry, I'm confused because I have a lot of questions, but she couldn't answer it because we have to go see the doctors first to get more information. So then I have to jump into, okay, I'm her mother, and I know how if they fall, you can put a band-aid on it. You can get them back to health. If they got a cold, you make the soup. But with this diagnosis, I was lost. I didn't know how to help her, and I told her straight up. I said, "Look, I know I don't understand what you're going through, but I'm here, 100%. So everything after that, it was like we. when is our appointment? And she said, why you always saying we? I said, because you're not in this alone. I'm like, when is our next appointment? When is it? That's how I think. And then I had to jump into that part where, and I'm not gonna go too far into that because I know you have a question in regards to support. But right away, I knew I had to figure out what my role was gonna be in this. And I knew I needed to be her advocate because one thing I didn't want her to be worrying about anything other than getting healthy. So when she talked about declutter, that was one thing. I'm like, okay, we got to declutter your bedroom. We got to do whatever. I'm like, I'm going to be 100% there with you all the way. I didn't want her worrying about anything. And that's how I was when they were kids, when they were in school. You had every tool that you needed. Because all you needed to do was go through whatever that challenge was, whatever you were doing at that time. So, and that's what I did here. So, as she said, I spoke with the nurse navigators because I had all the questions. I did my research because I didn't have no questions. So I went to YouTube and then I became subscribers to some of the people who experienced this. I'm calling people who I know who experienced it. So I was already prepared. I was purchasing the stuff that she was going to need. I I was I was just like on that move, just getting there, making sure she had everything that she needed. So that's you, and everything was moving so quickly, Reg. It was like so fast, you know. You hear about the diagnosis, then you go into the surgeon, everything was moving quickly. So we all had a role, Craig, Anthony, and myself. We were just making it happen. And then there was a whole lot of other people, like you said, it was a village. But that was my initial reaction. So I'll let Craig go now.
Appreciate that. Brother Kwame, Nana Kwame.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
yeah. I'm just going to ask you just a couple more questions, and then we're going to open it up for question and answer. All right, Q&A. Go ahead.
Sure.
Proceed. Yep.
So, in in the course of this discussion, there's so much that could be said that we
Absolutely.
probably don't have time for. So in the interest of time, but one thing that that came to mind when you propose, doing this, I think it's cathartic. Number one, because we haven't had this dialogue. We have not had this particular conversation, since we experienced that trauma. So I think it's cathartic for everybody to be able to revisit it from a place of healing and get those thoughts out and those thought processes, because it's been cathartic for me because I had to revisit that place in time and try to process what I was thinking and feeling. And unfortunately, well, being a man, you don't focus on your feeling. So I say all that to say that was a preface. What came to mind for me is when I first met Ashley. And you say, well, that's a strange thing to say, but it's true of every parent that when you meet your child for the very first time, right? So as an infant, a baby, when I met her, so I've known her whole life. But when I met her, I was returning from being stationed in Korea, and I met her for the first time. And like any first-time parent, I actually did count her fingers and I counted her toes and I checked her to make sure that physically, everything was intact and that she was a healthy baby. And then I set about my task as a father, which was ensuring that she would have the best life possible. But as a parent, you know that when you hold your child, you make those silent promises. And one of those promises is that I won't let anything harm you. So when you come to a point in life where the child that you made that promise to is saying that there's something that is going to impede on your ability to fulfill your promise, then the first thing you want to do as a father, as a protector, is spring into action. But guess what? In this instance, there's no physical entity. There's no one person or human being that you can look at and say that that's the problem and that's what we're going to attack. There's so with disease And with it being invisible in a sense, and you having the inability to literally put your hands on it, it's not tangible. That starts to begins to bring about a feeling of I want to say helplessness, but it's not helplessness. It's that you're caught in in action, and now we all have to find our roles. So as Annette alluded to, we had to figure out what were we going to do individually and collectively to make sure that this disease was defeated. And by defeated, I mean that it wasn't going to claim her life. So that was the undertaking. That was the primary focus, and the primary goal is if a mountain needed to be moved, the mountain would have gotten moved. There was nothing that was going to stand in the way of us achieving that objective and getting her back to that place of health. So I just want to, and so in the interest of time again, I just want to talk about during the course of her treatment. We were having a conversation, and I posed the question like, okay, when you come through this, what is it you want to do? What is your goal or your dream that you want? And she said, I want to go to Arizona. And and I thought about it, and it only took me a second to think about it. I said, well, Arizona, that's so doable. That's not even a challenge. Like I couldn't even consider that as being, like to me, that sounded like something you could do any day of the week. I said, no, what we're gonna do is you're going home. You got to go home, because I couldn't stomach the thought of you living a life and having never gone back home. So that's where we initiated the trip to return home to Sankofa that we took to Ghana at the tail end of her treatment. And when she was healthy enough and back on her feet and able to travel, that's the whole reason why we undertook that journey, is that in that restorative process, nothing's going to heal you better than going home and putting your feet on that soil, on that land, eating something that is good for you, that you're supposed to be eating as African people, being around your family, your extended family. Nothing is better for you in terms of your health, And so she needed to get out of these toxic environments. So I want to make a couple of quick points. What we found out was that cancer is big business, as Baba Kidi alluded to. When we walked in there, the first meeting that we had with a surgeon, Dr. Halliday, and all he could talk about was surgery, because that's his expertise. That's what he was there to do. At the conclusion of that meeting, he handed us a binder that had a whole team. There was a binder put together with a whole treatment protocol that they had already pre-assembled, if you will, almost like a factory. And I want to tell you, anybody that knows, when you go to these cancer facilities, they are state of the art. The money is there, the funding is there, the resources are there, the staffing is there. You get the best doctors, depending on what your insurance, healthcare coverage might be. You get the best of the best, because unfortunately, like Baba Kidi said, that's where the money is now. And you look at Sloan Kettering, you look at MD Anderson, it's big time. And these hospitals, these giant corporations are racing to get into the cancer business. It's big business. Susan G. Komen, they got all these charities and things established around this whole idea of cancer, and how cancer is to be attacked and treated and one day eliminated. So it can be overwhelming. Even externally, as an onlooker, you can find these things to be overwhelming. And when you go into these facilities and you see other people who are suffering, when you go into a room where they're doing chemotherapy, it's not a single room. You're in there. There's like 20 different stalls or booths or whatever you want to call them, cubicles, 20 different setups, and they're full. And they're bringing people in around the clock to pump those drugs. So it's a massive, massive bureaucracy. And unfortunately, I think that we would do well to heed the advice of Dr. Keaty when it comes to that. And then the last thing I want to say, if I don't get to say anything else, I wish we could roll credits and just list all the names of all the people that came to our aid and our support. Obviously, the family, but what happened in the way that Ashley, her friends rallied around. You know, Britt, Lauren, Mo, Sarah, you name it. Every time I looked up, I had a new daughter, Jody. I don't leave nobody out. Listen, if I don't mention you, charge it to my heart. Charge it to my head, not my heart. No, I have to say that because I didn't get a chance to personally thank each and every one of them. I think they sensed our gratitude. But I just the love that they showed and the dedication that they showed, and they were determined that Ashley was not going to be alone in the course of what she was going through. So they rallied around. Then the extended family, all my brothers, all her uncles, Uncle Reggie, Uncle Ted, Uncle Gino, Uncle Oscar, right, Uncle Jimmy, Uncle Alan. It just wasn't going to happen. This was one, cancer was defeated. It wasn't going to claim, her. She has a mission and a purpose in life that's not yet fulfilled. And it's going to take more than that to stop her. So, for all the family, for all the love and the support, on both sides, on the extended family, and Sean, can't leave Sean out, right? Because he would definitely be upset if I didn't mention, Sean, and he was right there like a soldier. So many people came through in so many different instances, man, and it's nothing but love. And we would all return the same love, to them if the situation were reversed, because that's what family does. So, thank you to everybody for the love and support that you showed, to Ashley in her time of need. And you can rest assured that we'll be there for you, if the call arises.
So
Yep.
thank you. Yeah, I have one more question for you, and that's regarding lifestyle and diagnosis. Were you surprised by Ashley's diagnosis, given her commitment to a vegan lifestyle, and how did it influence your views on health and nutrition?
Well, I'll take that one real quick, and then I'll try to leave some space, but yes, I was surprised. I was surprised because I know how we can't just flippantly say vegan. Like Ash is so extreme, like it's scary, So, but that's a cautionary tale. Is to tell you that. But I do think that her lifestyle is a contributing factor to how well she's able to heal and overcome, the diagnosis. I think it helped tremendously because had she had some underlying conditions or some morbidity or obesity, I think it would have been a different outcome. And unfortunately, that's what people succumb to. So I think that her lifestyle is absolutely a key factor in how well she's able to combat, disease internally. So I applaud her for that, for making those decisions and making those choices. But I was surprised initially, and then once I absorbed the information, our modus operandi is attack. So we started doing the research and just gathering information and helping her make those decisions and arrive at those conclusions that was going to ensure the best possible outcome. So yeah, it was surprising. It still is surprising. It would be probably more probable for me to be diagnosed, than for her.
Thank you.
I'll let
Net.
and
Yeah,
And we're not
Yeah.
putting that out there
Yep.
either.
Net.
yeah.
Yeah, I was definitely surprised by that because, like she said, she diagnosed herself and she found the lump and she thinking, what did you say to me? You were like,
I told you it was a cyst.
it was a cyst. And
Mhm.
since breast cancer didn't run in my family because they like to say it's inherited. So when she already knew for 4 months by the time she got to me, and I'm like, no, you got to get that checked out, because like you said, Reg, thinking the way she was eating, exercising, she didn't have no health issues, zero health issues, went on no medications, and then to hear that news, like I said, it saddened me, but and like she said, she didn't want to do no chemo or anything, but I didn't understand it enough. And, I didn't know if there was any holistic way of trying to treat that. So I was like, no, I was like, go with the chemo. So, yeah, I don't know. It's like Craig said, though, we just jump in. You just jump in,
Mhm.
with this diagnosis, you just jump in and you do whatever you have to do. And that's what we did. We took on whatever role we needed to take on. We was there 100%. I made sure all she needed to focus on was getting healthy, and whatever that is.
Mhm.
Any bills came in, yeah, let me take care of that.
Reg, she went into full mama bear
Yes,
mode.
I did.
If you've
Yes, I
never
did.
seen it up close, and listen, I just saw a video last week of the mother elephant protecting her offspring, against those people that were out there doing some tourism, and she didn't care. She didn't ask no questions. She just stomped them into the mud because they got too close to her children. So when you witness mama bear mode up close, you know to stand back. So
Right.
I stood back and I made sure that I was available, at all times, and did
Mhm.
whatever I was told to do.
Because you do the research. You do the research, and you hear about these people getting all these infections and so forth. So I'm like, nope, no company. Not while your immune system is so low. But as Craig was alluding to and mentioned, but there was some young ladies that Ash went to school with. Now I consider my daughters, and I
Mhm.
couldn't shut them out. Once she went to one of them
Mhm.
before she even came to me to let me know. This young lady, she dropped everything. And husband, child, she came here and stayed for 7 days. And then another one came and stayed. And then they all wound up showing up. I couldn't close the door. But my intent was like, I don't want her getting any infections or anything, even family. I'm like, I'll let y'all know when y'all can come by.
Yeah, you about to
But
make me
the
cry over
support,
here, Net.
I'm telling you, Reggie came over and prepared the meal for us. Reggie, you bring in your food from your garden. I mean, like, the family love. Like Craig said, his family, my family, we all one. Friends, we just, it's just family. So that support that Ash had, and
Man.
it was just, just looking at her today and understanding, like Craig said, you brought back some memories for us,
Yeah.
have to go back and look at that.
Two really two things that really stood out was when I shaved her head.
Oh yeah.
That was because that's when it really starts to sink in. As part of that treatment regimen, where you start to lose your hair, and hair is always a symbol of pride, and there's so much attention given to your hair, and then when you start to lose it, and it becomes a visual, a tangible visual that says something's wrong. Something is wrong. So that was one, uh, 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 I guess, traumatic incident. The other for me was a tangent, and that was when I was watching Good Morning America, and I watched Michael Strahan with his youngest daughter, and his daughter was being interviewed, uh, and I felt his pain as a father, man, and that was like a watershed for me because he gave voice to what I was feeling. We were feeling the same thing. Now, here's a man with immensely, he has far more resources than I have at my disposal, and he has an incredible amount of resources that he can leverage for his daughter. But the playing field was level because disease does that to you. It does it is indiscriminate, and him describing his essentially helplessness at watching that disease attack, his daughter, I felt that pain, and that was an intense moment. And so you asked, like, when would when were you emotional? Emotion is funny. Like, those things well up on you when you least expect it. You can be going about your day and everything's fine, and just some memory or some instance can just trigger, an intense sadness or despair if you're not careful. And you have to, and it's just all a part of the human experience. It's a part of being alive, is the ability to feel emotion. So I can't imagine anyone saying that they had no emotion. It's not that, you don't have any emotion. It's how that emotion is displayed, and sometimes you can't control when or where, these things happen. But it's certainly, you can't say that, someone being involved in a battle for their health is an emotional experience from the beginning, from beginning to end. It's an emotional roller coaster, because throughout, there can be setbacks, there can be ups and downs, lots of ups and downs, things that you don't anticipate, or you're trying to anticipate as much as possible, but you encounter some issues. Like, for example, something as simple as drawing blood when she went to get the port put in, and the phlebotomist, the lady that came up, she stuck her like 5 times, trying to draw blood, and I could see Ashley's discomfort, and Ashley, she was trying to be a trooper,
Don't worry,
but
I spoke
eventually
up.
Mama Bear came in and
That's
said,
right. I
"You
told
can
her,
stop,
You can stop and get
you can
someone
get
else."
out." And she threw the lady out.
Yeah.
And they had to sit down to the lab to get the expert, to come up. And the lady came up, the phlebotomist came up, and within like 5 minutes, she had completed the task. So it's just things as simple as that, man. But, Ashley endured. I don't want to speak for her. That's why, I listen, more than I talk. But she
Yeah.
endured so much.
One more
And I
minute,
witnessed,
Brother Craig.
yeah,
Oh,
yes,
go
sir.
ahead.
Just witnessing that. But I'll let her close out. I'll
Yeah.
yield so Ash can give you the last word. She gets the final say.
Yeah, you get the final say, Ash, and then I want to open the floor to if anyone has any questions for you or your parents or for Baba Kitty. Go ahead, Ash.
I mean, I think we said as much as we can say in a short amount of time. We touched on the more important things. But I just want to say thank you to everybody that supported. You've heard a long list of names, and there's so many more. But all in all, I mean, your support did not go unnoticed, and I appreciate every bit of it. Whether it was just a simple text, or you came to visit, or you went above and beyond. I mean, every little bit of support helped. And when people ask me about my mental state during the whole process, every one of y'all played a big part in that. So thank you.
Thank you, Ash. Thank you, Ashley. Thank you, Nana Kwame, and to my sister Annette. At this time, I want to open the floor up for Q&A.
Yeah, you know that you was there.
Huh? Yeah. Anyone have any questions?
Yes, I have a question
Go ahead, Christian. For who? For Baba Kitty, Ashley?
for Ashley.
Mhm.
So I heard your story, and you mentioned that it took about like 5 months from when you diagnosed it or you felt the lump yourself. I was just wondering, did you normally go in for your yearly exams and then this happened afterwards, or did you maybe skip some? And I was just wondering that part.
So I didn't. Well, I went to whatever your wellness exams. But there were no actual. Because of my age, I wasn't. I didn't need to go for like mammograms or anything like that.
It wasn't
So
recommended at your
yeah,
age.
yeah. My age range. I was 36 at the time that I was diagnosed. So I didn't I didn't need to go, or it wasn't recommended that I go for. So no, I didn't do any extensive.
No, not
wellness.
that. Meaning you were just on top of your annual wellness visits. That's what I was asking.
Oh yeah, just yes, annual, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you,
Mhm.
Christian.
Thank you.
Next,
Greetings, peace and love. It's
Lisa,
Samut.
how
How's
you doing?
everyone?
All
Yeah.
right.
So first I want to say how furthered I am by the buoyancy and the resilience in Ashley's spirit. That is ancestral, man. Your energy, the fact that you just took it all in stride. You had your moments of turbulence and emotionality. Who wouldn't? But you did not let this, episode in your life claim your life in that way. And I just want to just applaud you and celebrate you and say we need to bottle that and see how we can sell it because folks need that. It's amazing the strength. And that's not something that, people can learn to be strong, but you exemplify, an innate ability to overcome, these dynamics. So I just want to applaud that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Secondly, years ago, and I won't be long-winded, but I did have a comment and a question too. Years ago, I was in school to be a registered nurse, and I was working at Princeton Hospital on the oncology unit. We going back to the 90s, and the oncologists used to come onto the unit to see the patients, and they would remark that the cure for cancer is worse than the disease because the chemotherapy is essentially akin to drinking Drano to your body. That's how strong the chemotherapy and radiation treatments are. However, I'm a person that people don't know. I was a vegan for most of my adult life, at least 33 years, and practicing plant-based health coach and health and wellness instructor and all of that. I tell folks, you got to do what you need to do. If you need to take the chemotherapy or you think that that's a best course for you and your family, take it. But then afterwards, because of the toxicity, chemo and radiation destroy your immune system. They are indiscriminate. They're not just hunting cancer. It's indiscriminate. It's going to destroy your immune system. So earlier there was a question asked to Dr. Keaty, Chef Keaty, about stem cell. And what I want to query is, Ashley, do you have a plan in place to help rebuild your immune system? Because that is what, that's what gives the longevity of life, is when you restore the immune system.
So
Christian.
I don't think I've had a actual regimen in place. I've pretty much just on what I've been doing, which is following what I know to be a more healthy diet for myself. So like Baba Keaty said, the dark leafy greens and all that kind of stuff. So I still have my knowledge about, alkaline veganism and plant-based diet and all kind of stuff. So I still follow that same regimen to this day.
Okay. All right. Great. Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you.
Reg, before we go,
Sure.
so the young lady, what was man, her name escapes me. She was the co-host of 106 in Park with Free.
Uh, uh,
She just died about
Oh, Ananda Lewis. She's an
Ananda Lewis.
Lewis.
She, unfortunately, she chose the holistic approach. I'm here to say that there's no guarantee. There's absolutely no guarantee. But I read somewhere where she said she regretted not pursuing, the conventional treatment for her diagnosis. Now, it's an individual choice. And like Baba Kitty, I'm not telling you what to do. What I'm saying is that you have to do what you feel is best for yourself at any given moment. You have to make decisions to preserve your life. So you will find people that pursued that route and were successful. I'm not saying that's not a course of action to take, but what I'm saying is that you have to take it with consciously, right? And she undertook that consciously, and I was very sad when I read, because now that, you know, with Ashley's experience in mind, those stories now attract my attention where maybe before they didn't as much, but now I'm acutely tuned in. People battling
Oh, by the
cancer.
store. Oh, right.
You gotta mute yourself, sis.
Oh, sorry.
So I just want to say, I don't think that there is a definitive right or wrong. I think the approach that works best for you, the one that keeps you alive, is the right approach. And whatever that approach turns out to be, that's the one that you should lean to and rely on, is the one that keeps you alive.
Okay.
Anyone else? I'll take 3 more.
I just want to put in a note here. I want you all to write this down. I'll put it actually in the chat. There's a protein. It's called NEU 5GC. NEU 5GC. I want everyone to look this up. This protein was discovered by scientists at San Diego State University. I recall December 14th, I think it was 2014. I read the article and became aware eating red meat. They say that this is the most clear connection between red meat and the increased risk of cancer that they've been able to follow. Now, when I talk about nitrate processed meats, we've long known that those cause cancer, but this protein, NEU 5GC, increases the risk of inflammation by as much as 500% and a corresponding increased risk of developing certain types of cancer, including stomach cancer, colorectal cancer. So everybody be alert. Every time you eat red meat, it could be pasture raised or organic, whatever that means, red meat. It could be lamb, pork, or beef. Every time you eat red meat, you increase your inflammation and your corresponding risk of developing cancer.
All right. We got time for 2 more. Thank you, Baba Kitty.
I have one question, because I was trying to eat with the blood type, but this says eat the lamb, so you just said that's not good.
Yeah, eat for your blood type is a complete and total fabrication. It's a myth. Dogs have different blood types. Do dogs eat for their blood type, or do they eat for their phenological type, the shape of their teeth, the length of their digestive tract, the power of their stomach acid? Eat for your blood type is a complete and total myth.
Thank you.
Anyone
Hey,
else?
Uncle
What's
Jimmy.
up,
Good. One more question. All right. Hey, Brother Otha, you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You have anything you want to say about your teas?
I'm not gonna.
Okay.
Not really. I'm more impressed with the resilience of the sister and the family. I always feel, when you are in situations like that, the first part of medicine is family love, and the mother and father exhibit that. So I'm just totally blown away about the support that they gave their daughter in that process, and I feel like that's the first initial dosage that anybody needs when they're in that situation like that, is having the support of their family. But having the support of the people that brought you in the world is just, it's very touching, very touching.
with that said, I greatly appreciate everyone joining us for this evening for a very important dialogue, very important conversation. Like I said earlier in my earlier remarks, is that this is going to be an ongoing conversation because this is a very serious matter as it concerns our overall health. Ashley, man, you you are the gift that keeps giving, and I greatly appreciate you, your spirit, and to my brother Nani Kwame, appreciate everything that you do, brother, as well as to Annette. Thank you for everything. Is Anthony on? Did he come on? Okay, he's probably at work.
Did you let him in?
Yeah, I thought I
think
did.
he was in the waiting room.
Oh, okay. I thought I did let him in. But Ash, I'm going to give you the last word, and we're going to end the broadcast.
Like I said, thank you to everybody.
Asante Sana.
Thank you to the
Yes.
team,
Yes.
and for anybody that wanna join the team, well, you're welcome. I'm not turning away anyone. As long as you got positive spirits about you, we good. And also, anybody that wants to reach out to me that doesn't have my information, you can reach out to Kwame Reg and get my
Yeah.
information. And I'm happy to talk about anything. If you have any questions about my journey, about what I went through, feel free to ask. I've always been open about discussing it. It's never been anything that I wanted to shy away from. I knew that it was a big thing as far as our community, as far as, African Americans and, just the people in general. I just hope that one day we don't have to worry about whether our water, air, or food is poisoning us. And if we could just, live free. That's all. We got a lot going on in this world and in this country in general. And, this is one of the biggest things, our health. So, everybody take care of yourselves. That's it.
Thank you, sis.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you, everyone. And I have the 5 names for those who are interested in Bobby Kitty's book on cancer.
Yes.
Oh,
Wait a
I'll-
minute, bye-bye.
I'll make sure you get a copy of that book. All right, Ash, Net, Bobby Kitty, where you at?
What a joy, what a pleasure, what a beautiful spirit. Ashley, you have brought all of us together here today, for which we are eternally grateful. And Brother Baba Kwame, I didn't recognize it was you. And then when you started talking, I realized I know that brother. I know that brother
Yes,
real
it's
well.
me.
And congratulations to all of you, Lynette, to your beautiful family. And you're going to change the world. No doubt. You have that destiny, Ashley.
Thank you.
Guidance
work-
and protection.
Yes.
Appreciate
Yes,
you.
she does.
Thank you.
All right.
All right. Take care, everyone.
Asante Sana.
Take care.
That's it. All
Peace,
right.
peace.
Peace.
Bye.
Yep.